Buongiorno, Stoveminders. It is the 7th of December, 2020. Good morning, Monday morning. And as of today, the MLB has reached a landmark of the off-season. The winter meetings begin now and run until this Thursday, December the 10th. Except because of COVID, this is going to be possibly the worst, or at least the lamest winter meetings ever, because instead of choosing one warm weather city for front office bigwigs and players and their agents to descend upon for a week of wheeling and dealing and chaos, this year's so-called meetings will be entirely virtual. Yes, a series of video calls between negotiators will be how business is conducted this winter. Let's hope that format does not hinder any deals from getting done. I was a little bit worried because the winter meetings are typically the point when the hot stove kicks into hot gear with a flurry of activity over these few weeks leading up to Christmas, and then several residual moves then going out through the rest of January. That's sort of the high point of the baseball offseason typically. Not to mention all the trades that tend to happen over the winter meetings with so many general managers gallivanting in the same hotel room, bars, or whatever, though that won't be the scene this year. But my doubts, my skepticism were challenged. They were upended by one man, a man on a mission. His name is Perry Minasian. He's the new general manager of the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, and he was hired this past month with a gargantuan task. The Angels are an organization that wants to win. They have a guy named Mike Trout. He might be the greatest of all time. They have a guy named Shohei Ohtani. He can hit and he can pitch. He's the Japanese Babe Ruth. And they have the greatest meme manager of all time, Joe Madden. So what's the deal? They have the the fourth highest payroll in baseball for the likes of Albert Pujols, who should be retired. It's a tough situation. What are they going to do? Well, Mr. Minasian went out and he acquired two gentlemen, both by the name of Iglesias. On the pitching side of the ball, because that's what happened this morning, that's the breaking news, the Angels have acquired right-handed relief pitcher Raisel Iglesias from the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for a right-handed reliever of their own, Jose Ramirez, and a player to be named later. Now, the Angels have just lacked pitching in general. The staff gave up the third most runs in the American League last year. And in terms of save opportunities, in 2020, the Angels made 12 saves and they blew 14. Dog shit. Well, here comes the savior, Raisel Iglesias, 30-year-old Cuban. He's been the Reds' closer for the past 4 seasons, and in that span, he's notched 100 saves, 2.95 ERA to go to 3.42 FIP, 1.52 ERA plus, 1.109 WHIP, and 11 strikeouts through 9. Beautiful stuff. Iglesias has 1 year remaining on his contract with $9 million owned. Not great for the Angels' payroll, but as I said, they desperately need any sort of pitcher who can do what he's supposed to do. And Raisel Iglesias is a proven good closer. So, great stuff there. As for the Reds, in return, they're getting Jose Ramirez, an adequate piece to fill out a bullpen. Career ERA and FIP between 4.18 and 4.51 through 6 seasons. For what it's worth, 2020 was a career year for Noe, but this move was more about the Reds throwing money out the window like a ship about to sink. They non-tendered Archie Bradley, so their bullpen's looking pretty suspect now, and word on the wire is they're shopping starter Sonny Gray. A drastic change from the aggressive winter Cincinnati had in 2019-20, which led to a lot of preseason hype. People were saying they're going to win the NL Central. They didn't. They finished 31-29, and 2020 was pretty volatile for the Reds. Great pitching, subpar hitting. So at least they got a reliever back. But yeah, losing your closer and arguably your second best reliever in Archie Bradley, not a great look for Cincy, but a great look for Anaheim, and they weren't done there yet. No, Minasian also traded for infielder Jose Iglesias to the Baltimore Orioles in exchange for a couple of right-handed minor league pitchers, Garrett Stallings and Gene Pinto. Story here is the departure of longtime Angels shortstop Andrelton Simmons, one of the best gloves in baseball, going to free agency. His replacement, Iglesias, will be a low-cost one at $3.5 million with 1 year left under contract. But what does he offer in exchange? Jose Iglesias, some big numbers in 2020 if you take a look, but his 9-year career, he's a .278 hitter, .319 on base, .381 slugging, and 88 OPS plus. Below average hitter with little power, but look at those strikeout numbers. Yeah, he doesn't K a whole lot, so that's a silver lining, right? He's no Simba, but Iglesias is a good defender. 22 defensive runs saved above average at the shortstop position in that 9-year career. Yeah, I mean, considering the Angels situation, they weren't going to go out and get Gregorius or Semien or any of these guys. Or, I don't think they were super interested in re-signing Simmons. Kind of had to move on both parties. So I like the addition of Jose Iglesias, who's at least, a veteran, a sort of a steady presence, and a guy who can still play the shortstop position well. And as for the Orioles, they're still deep in their rebuild, and they get a couple of lower-end farm hands to fill out their system. And those were not the only moves that happened. A trade and a signing more to report. First, the defending World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, acquired right-handed reliever Corey Knebel from the Milwaukee Brewers for cash or a player to be named later. Knebel was set to be non-tendered after a rough 2020. He missed all of 2019 recovering from old Tommy John. But before that, he was the Brewers' closer. And between 2017 and 18, he was very good in that role. 55 saves, an ERA and FIP between 254 and 274. So for the Dodgers, you're looking for a rebound candidate? Another year away from, recovering from surgery, and not to mention that really weird 2020 season. That was kind of a chalk up for a lot of guys. Not a bad depth addition for the Dodgers. And with the Brewers, as I said, yeah, they were going to not tender him anyway, and then they turn out relief pitchers like it's nothing. Speaking of relievers, the New York Mets. You knew they were going to do it. You knew they were going to be aggressive under the new Cohen regime. Well, they went out and they signed right-handed reliever free agent Trevor May. 2 years, $15.5 million guaranteed. Trevor May, formerly of the Minnesota Twins, he missed all of 2017 to Tommy John surgery, but since then, 2+ seasons, he's thrown 113 innings, 3.19 ERA, 3.56 FIP, a strikeout to walk ratio of 4-1, and a strikeout through 9 average of 12.2. Great stuff. May gets a lot of swinging strikes with his primary pitches, a slider and a top zone four-seamer, and his fastball reached a career highest velocity in 2020. So, yeah, there was a good bit of hype around this signing around the baseball world when it happened. A lot of people saying that May is an underrated guy, and he's been consistent over the past few years, and that's exactly what the Mets bullpen needs. Because there's a lot of talent with a good deal of uncertainty in that department. Edwin Diaz, Juris Familia, Dane Betances, good on paper, have not always been good the last couple seasons. The Metis, as I said, yeah, they're expected to be aggressive, and this is quite an aggressive move because this guy's getting north of $7 million a year. Kind of an overpay for a reliever, especially a middle reliever. But as I said, they got a lot of money with the new owner. They're going to make these sort of moves. It's something they needed. we'll see how it pans out. As for the Twins, losing May does hurt a little bit, but they got good performances from their relievers as a whole last year, so not a massive loss. And that about wraps up what was going down as far as transactions. Activity picking up a little bit, some good moves, I like it. But the big story of the first week of December was the non-tender deadline. And as expected, teams across the board desperate to save money. Even though supervillain agent Scott Boras said he doesn't think any franchise actually lost money this past season. But the fact of the matter is a bunch of players who could be valuable going forward were granted free agency instead of going through arbitration with their old clubs. So who are some of those guys? What are some names to watch going forward? Starting off, in the infield, Hanser Alberto, formerly of the Baltimore Orioles. Listen, this guy, since the start of 2019, 299 hitter, 735 OPS, 80 strikeouts, and over 700 at-bats. Not a lot of people talk about Hanser Alberto. Not a lot of people talk about the O's. But that could be a good budget infielder for a team looking for that. And, Michael Franco, former top Phillies prospect turned disgraced third baseman of the Kansas City Royals. He put together a good year in 2020, 278 batting, 109 OPS plus. Infielder Travis Shaw, not the most exciting again, but he's hit well at times. Possible depth piece. He's no longer going to be with the Toronto Blue Jays. And then in the outfield, Jesus Christ, like 30 outfielders got non-tendered, including some good pieces. David Dahl, formerly of the Colorado Rockies, 2019 All-Star, posted above-average marks in batting and slugging. Good hitter, but will the course field factor affect his value as far as other teams? I've heard good things about him, though, and I've heard good things about Adam Duvall. Straight slugger. Since the start of 2019, he's appeared in 98 games as sort of a platoon guy over in Atlanta, so not a regular player, but in 98 games, 26 home runs, 545 slugging percentage, and a 114 OPS plus. If you're just looking for a guy to just hit some freaking home runs, Duvall is your dude. He can also play first base. And then arguably the best player to be non-tendered, and this one was a real surprise, Eddie Rosario, formerly of the Minnesota Twins, a consistent player, career 277 hitter, 109 OPS, so not super sexy, but as I said, he's performed well on a year-by-year basis. He has the upside of a guy who can hit 20 to 30 home runs and 30-plus doubles. On top of that, Rosario, an above-average glove in left field. He's received down-ballot MVP votes a couple years in a row. Again, I was surprised the Twins let this guy go. I know he's not one of their best players, but the kind of guy, you'd like to just have that down the lineup quality, you know. And then, going out of the Cubs. Been holding back on the Cubs cast because a lot of turmoil in Chicago right now. Goodbye, Len Casper. That one hurt. I grew up watching the Cubs, listening to Len call the games, so I understand why I go to radio. Kind of sucks he went over to the White Sox, but hey, get to stay in the same city. Don't know who they're going to choose to replace him. Could be Ryan Dempster, the pride of the Sunshine Coast. But anyway, the Cubs were expected to non-tender a few guys, and they did, most notably Kyle Schwarber. He was owed about $9 million in arbitration. Schwarby, Cubs legend, fan favorite. Another slugger, similar to Duvall, a walk machine. Career 816 on-base plus slugging, 113 OPS plus in his career. So I understand that he's just kind of a generic long ball hitter, but the guy draws a lot of walks. You can do that. Potential DH as well. Albert Almora. This was bound to happen. He's really struggled over the last two seasons. A 230 hitter with a 270 on base. Jesus Christ. Former first-round pick. His career got off to a good start his first couple seasons, and he's a great glove in center field if a team's just looking for a defensive replacement. But Yeah, it's a road back. I don't know if hitting that young girl in the stands with this foul ball and putting her in the hospital just derailed everything, but yeah, the writing was on the wall too. Almora was bound to go. That Cubs outfield a little full, but with Schwarber gone as well, a hole has emerged in left field. Also, Jose Martinez no longer on the team. He was there for a very brief amount of time. Outfielder, DH, first baseman, looking to rebound after a horrible 2020 split between Chicago and Tampa Bay. J Mart hit pretty well back in St. Louis. Let's see where he goes. And Delino DeShields, another glove and go center fielder. Brian Goodwin, journeyman, 4 teams in 5 seasons. He's hit well at times, but a defensive liability. He formerly of the Reds. Indians cut DeShields and also Tyler Naquin. Inconsistent numbers for Naquin, but a career .274 hitter with a right-on average 100 OPS plus. He's a left-handed bat too, if you're looking for that. 10 defensive runs saved above average in right field in his career. A little bit underrated. Not a bad guy to have in your outfield mix. You know who else is not bad to have in there? Ben Gamel. All-hair team member. Slipped a bit after leaving Seattle for Milwaukee a couple years ago. But, yeah, again, a good guy to have on the bench. .331 career on-base percentage. And rounding out this class of outfielders to be non-tendered, Nomar Mazara. Came over to the White Sox last winter, did bad. He's a career about .250 to .260 hitter. Still just 25 years old. He's shown flashes, but whether or not he was just a globe life baby, seems like he kind of was. And this class of non-tendered pitchers very slim. Only one starter of note, left-hander Carlos Rodon, also of the White Sox. Possible back rotation piece for a team looking for a number 4 or 5 starter who throws with his left. And amongst relievers, more quantity over quality. But you got Archie Bradley. I mentioned him earlier. He was traded to the Reds last season. Former closer. Career ERA and FIP in the high 3s. 114 ERA plus, and he keeps the ball in the yard. Low home run numbers. A lot to like about Bradley. Again, I was kind of surprised the Reds let him go, but he's a free agent. And so is Hanser Robles. So this happened before the Raisel Iglesias trade, but the Angels cut ties with their former closer, Hansel, right-hander, 107 ERA plus over his career. He will be replaced by the much better Raisel Iglesias. And finally, Ryan Tepera. So, right-handed reliever, formerly of the Cubs, made news for being an accidental MVP vote getter in this year's NL MVP voting, which was really funny because overall he's a decent reliever, career .366 ERA and 119 ERA plus, but he was pretty okay in Chicago. Had some control issues. Just kind of wanted to mention how he somebody accidentally wrote him in. How do you do that? That's embarrassing. And I'm coming up to about the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to quickly give you a little rumor mill roundup. The Red Sox are very interested in bringing back outfielder Jackie Bradley Jr. No surprises there. The Chicago White Sox are not active on top free agents. They were rumored to be going for an outfielder like George Springer, but apparently they are unlikely to add him. The Mets are trying to move on from Steven Matz. Talking about trading him. KBO star infielder Ha-Seong Kim has officially been posted. Jays and Indians might be building a Francisco Lindor trade. That's been the talk. And as for the Toronto Blue Jays, they're leaving the Rogers Center kind of soon. They said that they want to be out of the Sky Dome come 2030. I'm kind of skeptical. I understand that's 10 years from now, but things move slowly in this country, especially when money and big projects are involved. Giants and the Phillies are both going after top-end closers. No surprise for the Phillies, a team that's trying to contend that really needs some good arms in the bullpen. Liam Hendricks and Brad Hand are the names mentioned there. In the San Francisco Giants, that'd be somewhat aggressive for them to go after top reliever on the market. That's a team that needs a lot of guys. And as for more postings, Japan. Yomiuri Giants ace Tomoyuki Sugano considered the top pitcher in Japan by some. He's been posted, or he's to be posted, tomorrow. And a bunch of guys are going down to the winter leagues. Gary Sanchez, Yasiel Puig, both going to play in the Dominican. No surprises there, considering the lack of playing time in general across baseball this past summer, especially for Puig. My goodness, what an offseason for Yasiel. After not being signed come spring training, and then months of, I don't know what he was doing, months of Puig watch where I was like, where's this guy going to land? He finally signs a contract with the Atlanta Braves. And then the day after I post that video, he tests positive for COVID, and the contract gets nullified since it was pending a physical. And I was like, I'm not doing Stoveminders anymore. And here we are again. And Yankees third baseman Gio Urshela out 3 months after elbow surgery. Some people are saying Miguel Andujar might get traded. He's always been kind of a trade rumor, especially since Urshela emerged as a very good hitter. We'll see what the Yankees do with that development. Mets have been very active in the pitching market. Yeah, they got Trevor May, but apparently they've been interested in Jake Odorizzi as well. And the Minnesota Twins had given Nelson Cruz, their former designated hitter, a 1-year offer, and then pulled it back. It's known that Cruz wants a 2-year deal despite being over the age of 40 and being a pure DH. But yeah, things are not looking great in St. Paul. And the Texas Rangers hired a new general manager, and it's former Major League pitcher Chris Young. The tall dude, 6'10". Yeah, we'll see how he goes. I don't know if we've ever had a former player turned general manager. That's huge. I mean, what an offseason for that. First former player GM, maybe. First woman GM, maybe. Cool shit. And then DJ LeMahieu, what's his asking price? 5 years, $100 million. Fair. Very fair. And that's from Marcus Semien. He in particular is drawing interest from teams looking to move him from the shortstop position. So I like playing those little roster depth chart games. We'll have some more of those. And the Yankees have been in touch with Michael Brantley. Wouldn't that be an addition to their outfield? He already kind of looks like Aaron Hicks. That'd be funny. But yeah, if you remember, the Yankees declined their option or DFA'd Brett Gardner. So their outfield has some openings, and with the health history of Aaron Judge, not to mention the health history of Michael Brantley, might be kind of a good move there, as annoying as that would be for the Yanks to land a top free agent. And the Mets have been in close talks with catcher Jason McCann on a potential 4-year deal. That would be huge for them. And Eddie Rosario, who I mentioned, was non-tendered. He's drawing interest from the Red Sox if they don't reunite with JBJ. Wouldn't that be something? Rosario, Benintendi, and Verdugo. And that is about it. That's it for Stoveminders. For this beginning of the second week of December, beginning of the winter meetings, non-tender trade deadline, moves are being made. The temperature has risen a little bit. It's like, I would say it's about lukewarm right now is the temperature of the stove, about, let's go like 14 degrees Celsius. I don't know how many degrees American is. Stay warm.